Good morning. My name is Shek Zeng, co-founder and CEO of Wellumio. Gives me great pleasure to introduce you to Axana, a portable imaging solution that will fundamentally change the way that we deliver stroke healthcare. But first, a few remarks around why the company exists. We know that stroke is a leading cause of death and disability worldwide. Some of you will also know that it carries a lifetime risk of 1 in 4. But talk to anyone that's spent a day working in the front lines of healthcare, and they will tell you the biggest challenge on a day-to-day is getting stroke patients treated within the first golden hour of symptom onset. We know this is a time frame when you achieve the best clinical outcomes, but it is incredibly difficult to achieve. In fact, so difficult, fewer than 5% of patients are routinely treated within this time window. In a nutshell, Wellumio exists to tackle the golden hour challenge. Now, we know that imaging equipment like CT and MRI are absolutely crucial in the diagnostic workflow, but we also know these instruments are concentrated in big hospitals, and that means patients often need to travel long distance to access the technology, and often involving multiple transfers and touch points before you actually arrive in the radiology scanner. And if you happen to present to a smaller hospital, which in a country like the US is where 80% of patients first present, these systems are not necessarily available, and if they are, they're not necessarily accessible in a timely fashion. And as a case in point, in the US, CT angio utilization in stroke is only 17%. CT perfusion utilization is only 3%. Now imagine if we have the ability to diagnose and image a patient at the first point of contact with the healthcare system in the emergency department, regardless of whether it's a big hospital or a small hospital. And better still, if we can deliver that imaging before the patient arrives at the hospital. That is exactly the change that we're seeking to change with the Axana imaging solution. Instead of bringing patients to the scanner, we want to simplify the scanner so that it can be brought to the patient to unlock early intervention opportunities by providing diagnostic insights that would typically require access to a hospital MRI. Now, how do you deliver the insights of an MRI without building one, along with all of its known technology limitations? These systems are big, bulky, and slow for a reason. What we had to do was invent a new system architecture called Pulsed Gradient Free Mapping, PGFM, that allows us to harness the imaging biomarkers that are used in an MRI, but delivered in a new modality that is more portable, more energy efficient, and with much quicker image acquisition. And just to give a sense of relativity, we're not talking about incremental advancements along the historical trend line. With PGFM, Axana is an outlier, and we believe for all the right reasons. Much more lighter, faster, more energy efficient, less complexity, and it's this combination that allows the tool to move out of radiology and into the front line. These are some of the defining milestones on our journey to date. Just to take you through a few historical results, 2017 was when we first demonstrated the ability of PGFM to detect cerebral hypoxia against gold standard polarography. Hypoxia is a hallmark of ischemic brain injury during and after a stroke event. 2019, we demonstrated the detection of hyperacute stroke lesions within the golden hour with 100% agreement to clinical MRI. 2 years ago, we demonstrated detection of blood components down to 0.5 ml. So that's a small drop of blood the size of a pea. Our sensor are able to pick this up. And early this year, we launched our first in-human clinical trials, and the results from this study has been very encouraging. We've had 0 safety incidents. We've had a 90% scan completion rate, and most importantly, we've demonstrated the feasibility of detecting both ischemic and hemorrhagic stroke subtypes in stroke patients. And this is crucial because the patients go down mutually exclusive treatment pathways, and getting that answer right is absolutely crucial. Now, these results, for me as a clinician, is incredibly exciting because right now, to determine if a patient has a stroke and what type of stroke it is, requires 3 separate CT modalities that combined can take 40 and up to 65 minutes to complete, during which time a patient is potentially losing 1.9 million brain cells per minute. With Axana, we replace that with a 4-minute scan. And because the scan can be done first thing in the emergency department, and we believe pre-hospital in a mobile stroke unit, we can shave 1 to 2 hours off the current workflow. Now, saving 1 hour translates to 114 million brain cells salvaged, and that is ultimately what drives a reduction in hospital length of stay and direct cost savings, which we estimate will be in the order of $60,000 to $100,000 per patient. Now, our market is not just confirmed stroke cases, it's actually anybody with a suspected stroke. It's a huge volume of patients. In the US, it's about 1.1 million per annum caseload. Patients present to acute care and critical access facilities. It's a $1.5 billion US market opportunity. Now, in the US, we're going to target not the 300 comprehensive stroke centers that already have advanced imaging. We're focused on serving the 4,300 so-called spoke centers that are tasked with dripping and shipping the patient as quickly as possible. And we're targeting those sites because A, there's more of them, and B, by proving our technology in these spoke sites, we're also paving the way for expansion into the pre-hospital imaging market, which we estimate is worth $5.1 billion. Now, to get there, we're currently running through a structured clinical trial program. Step 1 was to compare Axana to MRI. Right now, our focus is on taking the scanner to the front of the diagnostic workflow, comparing Axana to first standard of care CT. From there, we want to run a US pivotal trial. We want to launch this sometime next year. Our goal is to soft launch the product in 2028 in the US via the FDA de novo pathway. We've got a great set of customer partners who are supporting our trials, and we've got commercial partners as well who are helping us ensure that when we launch, we're doing so with a full stack solution that includes telemedicine, workflow, and EMS integrations. When we look at the market landscape, we see multiple strategic clusters that are very relevant to our business and what we're trying to achieve, both in neurovascular and imaging and also in stroke specifically. With your medical device strategics, like your Strykers and the Medtronics of this world, they're very interested in stroke, and they have a history of acquiring technologies or entering into partnerships that seek to grow the neurovascular funnel. And in essence, that's what Axana does, is it grows the utilization of mechanical thrombectomy devices. For the imaging majors like Siemens, GE, they're interested in owning more of the diagnostic to therapeutic workflow, and they have a history of acquiring technologies to plug modality and workflow gaps. And again, with Axana, that's what we're offering, is that filling that modality and workflow gap for stroke. And with the consolidators like Samsung, Fujifilm, we've seen a track record of acquiring technologies that bring devices closer to the point of care, and that aligns with our philosophy of bringing the scanner to the patient, not the other way around. So we bring a management team that has combined 80 years of experience in medical imaging, both hardware and software. We also have internalized experience in regulatory approvals and in manufacturing. We are also supported by a top caliber clinical advisory group, including 2 past presidents of the World Stroke Organization and 2 past presidents of the American Society for Neuroimaging. So we've got great access to the relevant clinical societies and networks. So right now, we are capital raising, looking to network with new investors. If there's any interest, please feel free to reach out to me through the app, shoulder tap me in one of the socials, or contact us through our website. Thank you so much.